Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down a real pain in the neck for pretty much any global business: moving data across borders. It's a mess. But what if, and hear me out, there was a simple checklist that could actually cut through all that confusion? All right, let's just get this out of the way. If you've ever been in a legal or compliance team, you know this feeling. International data transfers, they're an absolute nightmare. I mean, have you ever felt like you're just stuck in this global maze of data laws? It's not just a process, right? We're talking about a super high-stakes puzzle where the pieces just keep changing on you. And this quote from the source material just hits the nail on the head. It triggers a regulatory migraine. And that's because, every single country is basically a gatekeeper for its citizens' data, which of course creates this massive headache for any company that's just trying to operate globally. So that brings us right here to the global data maze. Let's really dig into what makes this whole thing so incredibly tricky. Okay, so this is where things get interesting. There's this huge gap, right, between the usual advice you get and what you actually need. Most guides, they're just packed with vague legalese, all this abstract theory. But this source, it completely flips that. It's all about the how. It's practical, it's about what you need to do, not just what you need to know. All right, so how do we make that leap from all that theory to actual practice? Well, this is where a simple but really powerful tool comes into play. And here it is, the International Data Transfer, or IDT, checklist. Now, let's be super clear. This is not just another boring summary of laws like GDPR. No, this is a hands-on, get-it-done kind of guide for the actual day-to-day work of managing these transfers. Okay, so how does this thing actually work in the real world? Let's break it down and see how it forges a clear path through that compliance maze we were talking about. The whole thing is built around 5 key components, and these aren't just boxes to tick off, okay? Each step is designed to help you build a really solid, defensible framework for compliance. So, first up, transfer classification. This is your starting line, and it's absolutely critical. You got to figure out if you're sending personal data outside a country that's considered adequate. And why is this so important? Well, if you get this wrong, your entire transfer is non-compliant from the get-go. You've failed before you've even started. Next, step 2, applying the right safeguards. This is where you pick your weapon, so to speak. Are you going to use standard contractual clauses? Those are your SCCs, kind of like pre-approved contracts, or maybe binding corporate rules, the BCRs, for transfers inside your own company group. Picking the right one here is vital because it's the legal backbone for the whole transfer. Then, number 3, you've got to do a real risk assessment. The checklist actually makes you ask the tough questions like, hey, what are the local surveillance laws in the country you're sending data to? This isn't some academic exercise. It's about figuring out if your legally sound transfer could get compromised in the real world. All right, step 4 is a big one: documentation readiness. Look, in compliance, if it's not written down, it basically never happened. Having those logs, those audit trails, that's your only defense when a regulator shows up. It's the difference between a simple check-in and a long, painful investigation. And finally, step 5, setting up reassessment triggers. And this is so important. Why? Because compliance is never one and done. Laws change, vendors change, the world changes. Without a trigger to tell you, hey, time to look at this again, a compliant transfer today can easily become a huge liability tomorrow. But here's the thing, this checklist, it's not just a standalone tool. It's actually the beginning of something much bigger. It's the very first piece of what's called the Privacy Toolkit. Think of it as a growing library of templates you can download and customize. The whole point is to give you practical tools for real problems with zero theoretical fluff. And this isn't just some vague promise for the future. The source says there are more of these practical tools coming down the pipeline very soon. We're talking things like a transfer risk assessment template, a surveillance law impact matrix, all designed to make this stuff easier to handle.
So, after all that, what's the big takeaway? What's the bottom line here?
I think this final thought from the source just sums it all up perfectly. The idea is that this nightmare of global privacy compliance doesn't have to be chaos. With the right toolkit, you can actually turn it into clarity.
And that really leaves us with one final question to think about for your own team. Is your approach creating that kind of clarity? Or is it maybe, just maybe, adding to the chaos?